Good morning. It's good to be with you again this morning. We're continuing our building on the four pillars. The four pillars are healthy relationships, biblical financial values, biblical spirituality, and balanced living. And this week we're focusing on biblical spirituality, and I've actually called the series Nature Walks. And just want to encourage you to get out and enjoy nature as you worship God. And that's really kind of the focus for this week. And so today's talk is just on nature and the power of God. And I'm out here at beautiful Robinson Lake in really the heart of Sudbury. If you can see way in the back there's a swan back there. It's just a great spot to come and just to see the work of God at hand. So again, it's great to be out in nature, and Paul tells us that nature tells us and shows us some of the significant characteristics of God. You find that in Romans chapter 1, verse 20. He says, for his, talking about God, invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made. Now, this is a significant passage because Romans chapter 1, Paul is dealing with the fact that there are those who may not have heard the name of Jesus, who may not have really come face to face with Yahweh per se, and have not read the Old or the New Testament. And yet what Paul is saying is that they are without excuse. And he's saying that to all of us. You and I, we're all without excuse. And the reason we're without excuse is because of creation. Creation tells us that God exists. So he says straightforward, he says, creation shows the invisible characteristics of God. So the things that cannot be seen, the things that cannot be understood by looking at them directly and say, oh, that's one of God's characteristics. Paul is saying those very same things, the very invisible characteristics of God, are declared to us, are shown to us in creation itself. Good morning, Michael. Good to have you with me this morning. And so what he is saying is that, you know, these invisible attributes, what are they? They are the eternal power of God. The eternal power of God. The fact that God is eternal and that God is powerful. And here's the reality. When you think about creation and you think about what, you know, out here I'm standing by this beautiful lake, what we realize is that, you know, much of the world thinks that this just all kind of evolved and just kind of came about on its own. And yet we see very clearly that this declares who God is, and that there was a creator, there was someone who came and created the very earth upon which we stand and all of its beauty. It declares to us the divine nature of God, the fact that God is God, that he is beyond all of this, and that he is not one of us, and that he's not created by us, but that he is the eternal power, he is divine. And then what I find interesting is that it says that they are perceived, they are clearly perceived. Now, I find that a very interesting statement, that he says that they're clearly perceived, because much of the world does not perceive it. Much of the world does not see. In fact, last week on CBC, they were talking about some scientists who had found animal dung that they were saying was 70 million years old, and when they cracked it open, it still smelt, and it still had, you know, it was animal dung, and they're of course talking about it being 70 million years old. Now, here's the thing. When they examined that dung, which that's their job, and they did that, and they wanted to see what this animal ate, what they found was that the dung represented all of the plants that are still in existence in that same location at this time. Now, because they don't want to believe in God and they are not seeing that creation declares who God is, they're looking at it and saying, wow, how amazing this is. And I'm listening to them and I'm saying, wait a minute, guys, you're saying 70 million years, and the plants that they ate, the bugs that they ate, the vegetation that they ate is all exactly the same as it is today. And yet you're saying that was 70 million years ago, and there was 70 million years of evolution that took place, and there was zero change. Yet they come to the same conclusion that they always want to come to. And I'm listening to that and I'm saying, wow, because God is the creator. It is perceived because God has put it in the heart of man to know that God exists. But when man refuses to respond to the gospel and refuses to see God in creation, for them, it is not easily perceived in the end, is it? This has been true of creation, or since creation has taken place, that the attributes of God have been clearly available for man to see. But later on he says, but being wise in their own understanding, they've rejected God and they've run after false gods. This has been seen, and it's seen in everything that is made. And so we can look here at this beautiful lake. I can look at that swan out there. What a gorgeous thing out there. Unfortunately, it's very, very small for you. It looks a lot bigger from here. But you know what? Those are beautiful creations that show us who God is. So today, as you go about your day, I would encourage you, if at all possible, go for a nature walk and see the power and divine nature of God. May we see God in his beautiful creation. Have a great day, and the Lord bless you.